Hey everyone, welcome to the JO Sports Wrap. I'm Jay.
And I'm O. And remember, everyone, hit the subscribe button and the like if you can. All right, Jay, let's get started.
Oh, so this week the biggest news out of the NFL is the Miami Dolphins getting fined and punished for tampering. Is the punishment fair or not?
I don't think it's fair. They definitely should have been fined a lot more. Uh, I feel like teams have done other things in the past, like Spygate and what's the one that happened with the Saints where they were paying players to like take out other players. I forgot what the name
Bounty
of that.
Gate.
Bounty Gate. Yeah, and I feel like those teams and those coaches and all those like people involved got a lot more than what the Dolphins are getting. And the owner got what? Like he's banned till October 15th or something. Like it's pathetic. But it's the NFL, and I think that was more of a distraction to get away from um, the stuff going down in Cleveland with Deshaun Watson. So I think that might have been more like, oh, let's throw it out there, even though it's not a lot, just so people talk about this instead of Deshaun. But that's what I think. How about
I
you?
have
What
to
do you think?
disagree with you. I have to disagree with you a little. I think you're right in what you said about how it's. I think they're on the right track. I just think it could have. They're hurting the team a lot. The actual, I believe their vice president isn't allowed to attend league meetings for the rest of the season, so now he can't conduct business for the team for this season. They're being docked the first round pick next year and then a third round pick the following year. While they do have an extra first round pick, this is a team still sort of filling in pieces here and there to the draft. So them being docked the draft pick from a trade that they completed last year. Um, it's not. It's definitely going to cripple the team come next year. Um, uh, but I mean, Tom Brady up when deflate happened up in New England, Belichick and Tom Brady really got a slap on the wrist compared to what really could have happened to them. And I just see that the Miami Dolphins uh, punishment is a little bit more. Uh, I see it's being a more fair, a little bit harsh, but it's definitely protecting the integrity of the game.
Mm. Well, I think tampering should be allowed. It would make the league a lot more fun and a lot more stuff to talk about all the time because you can hit up any player like, "Hey, you want to come here next year?" So I think tampering, like, it would make it more fun for the fans. I think. I don't know if it would make it like a better for the owners, but it definitely be a lot more fun for the fans. All right. So let's move on. So Deshaun Watson got 6 game suspension. We mentioned him earlier. Uh, what do you think is next in the process? Do you think the NFL is going to give him more games, a whole year? What do you think?
So the following steps in this process is pretty interesting. They're not going to listen to any new. They're not going to let any new evidence be presented. They're not going to hear any more additional testimony. What's going to happen here? It's a paper process. Roger Goodell is going to assign a person who can arrive to a decision like he would to now go over the case again. But as I stated, there's not going to be any new testimony given. It's based 100% on what was done in the first investigation. So there's a high possibility that, um, depending on the person that Roger Goodell chooses, that he'll probably get a full year because Roger Goodell is one of the ones pushing for a harder punishment. The NFL wants to push for harder punishment because um, while we can say that this is a non-violent sexual harassment, you got the name of the, you got the reputation and the name of the brand to think about. So
Mm-hmm. The shield is above
definitely,
the players.
yeah, exactly. The shield always needs to be above the players, which is why I think they're probably going to give him at least a full season, probably more. I mean, Josh Gordon, marijuana, so for so many years. How many years did it cost him? 5.
His whole career, he could have maybe been a Hall of Famer, borderline,
Yeah,
because he
yeah,
had
he
one amazing
definitely.
year. They destroyed that man's career, his finances. They destroyed everything that he could have had. Even Calvin Ridley, what he
Exactly.
gambled $1,500 and he got like a whole year. So
Yeah, exactly.
I definitely think he should get a lot more because where there's smoke, there's fire, and he had a lot of smoke. So I don't know. 6 games seems a bit weak.
It is definitely way too lenient. I mean, you're sending a message that you could pretty much harass women, masseuses, and not have to worry about mini suspension.
Yeah,
That's not
and
a good
especially
message to
since the
send.
Browns made that contract where he would only lose like $1 million or something this year if he were suspended.
Suspended,
So they
exactly.
kind of gave him like an easy way out anyway. The Browns did. So I think the league has to like make an example of it, just so other guys don't do it. But maybe this is the exception to the rule, and this only happens one time in history. But let's hope.
Hopefully, let's hope that it only happens one time. All right, but let's move on to the next topic. Is Jake Paul dodging for the competitors?
Jake Paul's definitely dodging dudes. If you see that press conference recently with the guy, I don't even know the name of the guy who was supposed to fight, but I saw the press conference, and Jake just he didn't look like himself up there. You know, he seemed like he had to take a back step to like all the shit the other guy was talking because he was spitting some facts the other guy, and Jake was there like, ooh. So I don't know. I think he might be dodging dudes. And that was a big dude he decided to fight, and now he's calling out like McGregor, and he's calling out like these big names. He's just looking for his last payday, I think. Because I don't think people are on the bandwagon as much anymore because he's still fighting nobodies. So until he fights a legitimate boxer or he fights a big name in the UFC, people won't tune in. Like maybe they canceled it because they didn't get enough pay-per-views because that guy's a nobody that he was going to fight. At least the people he was fighting before were like ex-UFC guys that had somewhat of a name, but that dude's a nobody. I don't even know his name. I would have to Google it. But how about you? What do you think?
Uh, Jake Paul is what I like to call and I don't mean in disrespect when I say this, but he's an entertainment fighter. He's not fighting because he's trying to become the greatest boxer alive. And he's taking these exhibition bouts against UFC guys in boxing matches. You're crippling a UFC fighter by just allowing him to punch. He's not going to be able to take you down, so you're taking away his ground game. You're not being allowed to kick, so you're taking away half of his striking potential. Um, and then he's fighting guys like Nate Robinson. I mean, come on, Nate Robinson is no fighter.
Yeah,
Nate
no.
Robinson's a pretty great basketball player. He's
Above
not a fighter.
average. Above average.
He's above average. Okay, we'll give him above average. But he's doing this for the entertainment value. So,
Yeah.
and definitely, I think people are beginning to catch on to it. So, um, unless he decides to legitimately go pro and fight actual competitors, I don't think. I think he's definitely just heading on the downward slope right now.
I agree. All right, let's move on. So Juliana Peña and the Lioness fought this past weekend. Was it the best women's fight ever?
Okay. In my opinion, there have been many other great women's matches, by the way. For me, the all-time greatest will have to be Holly Holmes versus Ronda Rousey.
Was that a first round knockout?
Yeah, and she dominated. She dominated Rousey. I mean, Rousey came out swinging. Don't get me wrong. Wait, actually, I think it was a second round knockout.
I'll check it
But
out.
anyway, but while our fact check Mr. O here finishes that, I believe he was. I believe she was just clipped with a technique she wasn't comfortable with, and I thought to me that was the best women's fight of all time. Juliana Peña's fight against Nunez, though, that wasn't a joke. That was a really good fight. That was a really, really good
That was
fight.
the best card. That was the best fight on the card. Like period.
Oh, for sure.
Like
definitely,
best
hands
fight.
down.
Like they were nasty.
And the best hype up too, because you can legitimately tell these women did not like each other.
Yeah, there was a little bit of there was respect, but there was animosity because one lost and the other one feels like nobody's still giving her due.
Yeah, and that's fair because Juliana Peña has been a pretty good fighter for most of her career. But she just never was able to move up the rankings. And even now, she didn't really move up that high in the rankings before she got a title fight against Juliana Peña the first time around and beat her. But definitely, to me, Ronda Rousey versus Holly Holmes has been the greatest women's fight of all time.
So back to your point. So that fight was a second round TKO. So it was a second round. But this last fight has got to be the best ever. It went all 5 rounds. These women beat the shit out of each other. One of them lost like, I forgot how much Dana White said she lost. She lost like 4 centimeters or something of like skin on her forehead. She had to go directly to the hospital. And the lioness's eye was like, she could barely open it at the end of that fight. And she was dominating the whole fight. Like, I don't even remember her getting hit hard. Like, she got hit with like some jabs and a few straights. But it was nothing crazy for her to have that eye. And Juliana had times where she could have like gotten a lock or something. She was just so exhausted. She had no power in her to like lock that. And the lioness just looked bigger. She looked stronger. She was in shape. At the beginning of the 5th round, she was just like, I was like, damn, that girl in shape. And yeah, man, she beat the shit out of her. But Juliana's a dog. Like she the whole fight, she was getting her ass whooped, and she was coming at her.
She came back, yeah, exactly.
The whole fight, she was pursuing her. Like, it wasn't the lioness pursuing her; she was pursuing her. She was the lion, but she was just getting rocked every time she came.
Well, no, you know what? We got it. I'm gonna give her due because we're calling the Nunez the lioness, but we're not giving Peña the respect she deserves. There's a reason they call it the Venezuelan vixen, bro, and that's why she's not afraid to stand up and fight. You clock her one time, she checks in mentally right away and says to herself, you know what, I'm here to fight. You know, fuck this pain. I'm here to fight.
I agree.
And she kept going. But this is, you know what, the reason why she probably looked more exhausted than Nunez is because, Peña, historically, for her career, she hasn't gone past usually three rounds. So
I don't know if Nunez has got a lot of 5-rounders, has she?
I don't think so either, but
maybe 1 or 2. I have
maybe 1 or 2, yeah. But definitely her conditioning was definitely a little bit better than Peña's.
I just think Juliana at some point she just lost her power. Like, she just didn't have like that little bit of energy you need to like for a submission or for a hard punch. She just didn't have it. Like, yeah, maybe her cardio was just out. But and it's weird because the first round of that fight, Juliana came out weird. Like, her stance was awkward. She had the most awkward stance. And I was like, man, she has no chance. I couldn't believe she made it to the 5th round with that stance because she was getting clobbered. But man, like, kudos to her. Like, that girl can fight. Like Dana White said, the next fight she wants, she gets, because that girl's a dog.
Well, it has to be a rematch. There has to be a 3rd rematch now. Forget about it. It has to be a 3rd rematch.
I don't know if Amanda's gonna want that. Amanda might just retire. She might hold the belt for like 6 months and then be like, I'm out.
Then you know what? We're probably she's gonna probably catch a lot of criticism for that if she decides to do that.
She's 38 years old or something. She's pretty old, man. Let's see how old Amanda Nunez is.
No, she's up in her age. You're right.
Like, she's pretty old, man.
She's not a young chicken. Yeah.
She's been in the game for a long time. Let's see. She was born in '88, so she is.
Oh no, she's
34.
34. Yeah, 34.
No, 34.
So Peña, I think, is older than her.
But she has a lot of fights. 27 total fights. 27 total fights. So, but yeah. I think she might fight Valentina Shevchenko. I don't know how to say her last name. Valentina. I think she might fight Valentina
Shevchenko.
For a 3rd time, they might fight, but that'd be dope because they're both champs, and then she could retire being like a triple champ or something, which would be the first time in history.
Hey, let me tell you something about the hero from Peru. Valentina ain't no joke, bro. Valentina's not a joke.
Wait, Valentina's from Peru?
Yeah, she's Peruvian heritage as well.
But she's not. But I feel like,
check it out. Please check it out.
Valentina. I mean, I'm not doubting that she is, but she doesn't. I've never heard her speak Spanish. She's Russian, Peruvian, Kyrgyzstani, and Peruvian. Well, I never would have guessed she was Peruvian. But I don't think she speaks Spanish. Do you think she speaks Spanish?
I think she knows the basics of it. But from my understand, I think she actually grew up and maybe was raised for a couple of years in Peru. So she might know Spanish.
She grew up in the USSR.
Never mind. I retract my previous statement.
But yeah. All right, let's move on.
Training camp just opened up. How do you see the AFC NFC North shaping up this year?
So it sucks that I live in Finland because I don't get like these live training camps. I have to watch YouTube videos. Kind of sucks. It's not terrible, but it is what it is. So I haven't seen a lot from these training camps, but based on what these teams did in the draft and free agency and where they came off last season, I have the AFC North as follows. I got the Bengals, the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Browns. The Browns have to be the last team on here because they don't have a quarterback. They're gonna go with the guy who used to play for the Colts and the Dolphins. I forgot his name.
Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett, who's a average to above average backup. Like, I think he's a very good backup, maybe a top 5 backup in the league, but he ain't a starter. He's not going to take you to the playoffs. If you win 5 games with that dude, man, good for you. The Steelers, I think, could be a sleeper team depending on how that rookie quarterback plays. Because Mitchell Trubisky he's trash. So depending on how that rookie plays, maybe they have a good season. But the Ravens should be fine, at least enough to get a wild card. And the Bengals seem like the best team in the league. They got one of the best, if not the best, wide receiving core in the league. They have a top 5 running back to top 10 maybe. Defense is very much above average. So we'll see. And then for the NFC North, I got the Vikings, the Lions, the Packers, and the Bears last, because the Bears, they're the Bears. They haven't shown any signs of improvement. The Packers, I think, definitely took a step back by letting go of Devontae Adams. They have no number 1 receiver on that team. They have, at best, a number 3 guy who they're going to put in like the starting role as like the number 1 receiver. Like, they don't have a 1 or a 2. They have a bunch of 3s that are going to go out there and do their best. The Lions could be a sleeper team, I think. They have like a lot of good things going. They have very, very good defense, I think. I think the defense will be okay. I don't love their quarterback, but the offensive weapons he has are very, very nice. And in the weak NFC, I think it's enough to get them into the playoffs because the NFC is super weak. The NFC is top heavy. They have 3 teams at most. Maybe you can throw in the Cowboys in there, but we all know how the Cowboys play in the playoffs. They are chokers. And then the Vikings, just because they bring in their whole team back. They just got a different coach, which I think he's an offensive-minded coach. I'm not sure. But I think he might be. Isn't he from Green Bay? Like, I think they got somebody from Green Bay. I'm not sure. So I think the Vikings definitely take that division, or they should. If the Vikings don't take the division, that's on them. How about you? How do you got the AFC North and the NFC North shaping up?
So, all right. So for me, the last place team in that division is going to be the Steelers. Why? Because I actually don't think I think that quarterback situation is too unstable. And their wide receiving core isn't what it once was either. I mean, they lost Juju Smith to Kansas City, so they really don't have an undisputed number 1 guy there anymore.
Well, Juju ain't shit.
Well, he was their number 1 option, though. I mean, you're right. He's not. He hasn't been playing like a number 1 option, but now they truly.
I don't think he was ever a number 1 option. I think he was just overshadowed because, well, he had AB, and then he happened to have 2 good seasons because he had AB taking all the coverage. So yeah, he seemed like a number 1 because AB was taking all the coverage. But like, you can see it now. If he doesn't do anything with Mahomes, at least have 1,000 yards, like, he's mediocre, like wide receiver at best.
As the second to last place team, I'm giving it to the Browns. I agree with you. I think they're going to, if they win 5 games, which Jacoby just said, it's a great season for them. But they still have legitimate weapons on that offensive core.
Very true.
They have 3 really, really great running backs, led by Nick Chubb. I mean,
yes,
damn, how many teams can say they have 3 capable, able-bodied running backs able to anchor their team? Not many.
How many teams can say they have 1 capable running back?
Thank you.
Like 10.
The second place team in that division, I'm going to give it to the Bengals. I agree with you. They're great. They're anchored by a great number 1 quarterback and their number 1 receiver in Jamar Chase. But I just don't see them getting over the Ravens. I think the Ravens are going to take that division again this year. There's a lot brewing up in Baltimore right now.
They have no receivers. Who's he throwing the ball to?
They don't need them.
What do you mean they don't need him?
They don't need him.
Man, everybody knows the way to stop Lamar. You stack the box and hope to contain him. And if you can contain him, it has worked. And you go up by 2 touchdowns, he cannot beat you. Like, all you have to do is go up on them 2 touchdowns, and the Ravens cannot come back because they are not a pass-happy team. If you're up by 1 touchdown, they're probably gonna come back. But if you're up by 2 TDs, it's gonna be tough for them to come back. Like, it's not easy for that team to come back. like their best offensive weapon is their tight end, who's not that fast. I mean, he's a very good tight end. He was an All-Pro last year, which he shouldn't have been. Topic for another day. But he's the only guy who's going to dominate out there. Like, who do they have? Sammy Watkins, I think, is their best wide receiver. I don't know. And
I
you're
think
crazy.
Sammy Watkins is going to prove that he has something left in the tank.
No. You're crazy. If you think the Steelers, you're putting the Steelers fourth in that division. So that means you think the Steelers are going to have less than 5 wins. With that defense. With that defense.
Defense can only take you so far, son.
I don't know, man. They got TJ Watt. That's a bad man.
If that defense doesn't outscore their offense, they're not winning games. I can tell you that right now. So that offense isn't contributing to the scoreboard. They're not going to win, and I don't see that offense contributing much to the scoreboard.
I'll make you a $5 bet that the Steelers finish better in the division than the Browns.
All right, but then what's the plus minus?
No plus minus. Just the Steelers finish better in the division, like higher in the division than the Browns. And you obviously the opposite. All right, virtual shake.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take that. Virtual shake, my guy.
All right.
Virtual shake.
And what do you have for the NFC?
For the NFC, I'm giving the first place to the Lions. I think I think they have a great core. And I think that head coach team led by Dan Campbell, no joke. Dan Campbell's a pretty good coach, and I think they have what it takes now this year. Second place, I'm going to give it to the Vikings. I agree with everything that you said, so I'm not going to touch upon that again. But I agree that the Vikings are a great team, great coach, led by the guy. I think you're right. I think they took him from Green Bay. I think the reason why I'm going to give it to the Vikings second is the questions about the quarterback right now. Questions surrounding Kirk Cousins. See how it pans out this year. Maybe I'm wrong. Third place, I'm going to give it to the Bears. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm going to tell you why. Quarterback, I think they're finally going to give them enough weapons to at least. They're not going to win that division. I don't think they're going to win that division. But I think they can possibly even win second in that division.
They're crazy. I'm calling it right now.
I'm calling them a sleeper. I'm calling them the sleeper.
That dude's a bust.
I don't think he is. Bust. Justin Fields, I don't think he's a bust.
Bust.
There's only one quarterback that in the last 10 years whose college games I've watched, who I known was going to be a bust. That guy's name is Johnny Manziel. When he came out that year, I remember I was working at a sports agency and I was telling everybody, I think they took Johnny Manziel too high, man. I don't think he's going to play that well.
He definitely went too high.
Right.
He definitely went too high.
Mm-hmm. And the fourth quarterbacks
always go high. Quarterbacks always go high. It's a quarterback-driven league.
You have to. Yeah, it's a quarterback-driven league. You have to draft the quarterback high. But you have to draft them that high when you had other people on the board. So that's the question.
But you never know how these guys are going to pan out. I mean, look at Mahomes.
No, you never know. True. You never know.
Who would have thought Mahomes would come to the face of the league? Nobody.
Hey, there was once people who said Ryan Leaf was going to be the greatest quarterback that year. Look what happened. Peyton Manning went number 2, and
I guess you could still say he could have been. He just, what did he play? 2 years, and then he just,
No, he played out his entire rookie deal.
Did he?
4 years, I think. Yeah, I think so.
He played all 4 years.
I believe so.
Let's see. Ryan Leaf. Let's see. Yeah, he played 2 full seasons, and then he played 3 games for Dallas. Actually, he played 2 full seasons, and he didn't even play in the 99 season. So he played 98. He didn't play in 99. I don't know why. I'm assuming he was suspended
injury,
or something.
I think. No, I don't think he was ever one.
But if it was injury, it would say it here. It would be.
What did it say there?
It doesn't say anything. It just goes to 98 and it skips to 2000. So I'm assuming he was just out of the league.
That could be. Could be out of the league.
No,
but if it was suspension, it would say suspend.
Yeah, I take that back. He could have never been great. That dude won 4 games in his career.
Come on, yeah. The signs were there.
Nice. The signs were there. I was trying to be nice. I've heard him recently, like on podcasts and stuff. Like I'm glad he's like turned his life around.
Yeah, definitely. It's always good to hear somebody have a great story outside of it.
Yeah, 100%. So you think Goff is better than Kirk Cousins?
I think definitely Goff has more. I think Goff has a higher upside than Kirk Cousins. Yes, I'm going to say that.
Okay, I
going to
guess
say
we'll
that.
see. I guess we'll
Yep.
see. All right, everyone. I think that's the end of our show today. Remember to hit that subscribe and that like button, and we'll see you guys next time. I'm O.
And I'm Jake.
Later, guys.